It wasn't supposed to go live on here, but obviously YouTube does not like me doing something independent, so check on it. I was actually supposed to go live on my computer. Hold on, y'all. Am I on? I made a live, but I'm not sure if I'm on, y'all. Hold on. Am I? I think I'm on. Let me know if you can see me. I was not supposed to go live on this. I was supposed to go live on my computer, but I'm here. Peace, peace, peace. Hey, everyone. Peace to the east, the west, the north, and the south. This is FleurBrun coming to today with really bad lighting. Forgive me for the lighting, y'all. I don't think I can get it any better. Okay, it is what it is. It's a little smoky. It's a little smoky. Check on in. I promised I would come in, and I know many of you were like, when is Fleur coming in? I'm here. I want to get better lighting, y'all. I don't know how to get better lighting. Hold on, let me turn my computer off while we're doing this. I was unprepared. Oh, there we go. Ooh, lighting. Hello, Zoom. I know, hi, Zombies. I wasn't with the Zooms last time. Bonjour, bonsoir, bonsoir. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Hello, family. Okay. Check on in. Hello, hello. Greetings, Earthlings. I have some interesting news, and I wasn't going to come on and talk about the contact, but because I came on later in the week and I had contact, was it Friday? Maybe Wednesday? Hey, April. I think I had it on Wednesday. So I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday. Sometimes if it's at nighttime, it's different. Check on in. I wasn't with the Zombies last night, so I'm a little rested. Hey, Jamoji. I was out in the snow like a snow bear. Check on in. Money Earning Malvern. What you know about that, George? Sims, what you know about Money Earning Malvern? And that's like my love language when you say that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, George. Holla. I don't know if you guys love your hometown. I love my hometown of Mount Vernon. I had a magical time in my childhood. Not really crazy. I was a little geeky. So I would say as crazy as it could be as an adult, as a young person, right? My parents are like, islanders. So there's only so much crazy I can get without being sent away to an island, isolated. Ireland's in the house. I love my Irish family. Big up to Ireland in the house. I love y'all. Y'all get gully. Along with Australia. Europe does not get props unless you get props to Ireland. Y'all have the most gully, strong-minded, independent, outside of the box, stand on your square and outside the square people. And, people are like, oh, well, I'm from the right border of Uptown in Mount Vernon. What? Are you from? Oh, you're in the Bronx? Hey, Melanated High Priestess. So what was I saying? I just lost my thought. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, Ireland. I was saying Irish. People mistaken like Irish American or those who are born here. It's totally different. I always say like Guyana's in the house too. Big up to you as well. My family originally member at the border of Cayenne, which is Guyana and Brazil. Big up to Guyana, motherfreaking house. I danced with you in Carnival one year when I was somewhat single. You can't really be in Carnival if you're attached to someone. Causes problems. Hey, Susu. But Ireland, big up to you, big up to Scotland, but Irish put their foot on it. I respect them. I say put some motherfreaking respect. That's the part of Europe that y'all need to be down with. The Darrells are after y'all strong. I hope you holding up in Ireland because the Darrells are coming for y'all strong because you are against what they're doing over there in the Middle East. So they coming for y'all. So I'm unafraid for the Irish because I think y'all got something for them. Okay. The Scotties are kind of no nonsense too. You all right? check on in, y'all. I promise I come on. I missed my Zombies last night. I was caught in the snow. You know what I noticed? I'm gonna just chat with you until we get to 500. You know what I noticed? Um, it's amazing to me that, I got caught up where there was no Wi-Fi. My phone went down. Everything was out. There was no GPS. It was actually quite peaceful. My whole body just totally like harmonized. I always talk about the fact that, we're living in a space where there's a lot of radiation, radioactive frequencies, and how it really interfaces with your body. It really messes with the harmonizing of your body. Hey, AJ. But you know what's interesting is that when you experience it, you're from England, and Ireland is so special, holds the truth. That's right, Helen. Helen's living in England. She's from Ireland. God, big up to you too. Your body harmonizes. So I was in a snowstorm. I had to go see my little one perform, and my body felt absolutely amazing, even though it was a little, I'm not, even though I'm from the Northeast, I haven't been driving in the snow in a long time, so I had to get used to it. But everything in my body calmed down, like my adrenals calmed down. Mother freakers are putting all this 5, 6, 7G on our bodies, and when you're without it, literally your body relaxes. We're supposed to be living in the jungle or in the woods. Sea stars, take your clothes. Well, you can't take your clothes off in the cold weather. You could. It'll be cold though, and you don't want to get these all excited. So, but I'm saying us as females, we used to live in the woods, in the forest, in the jungle. I told you I'm going back. I'm creating my sanctuary, and I'm going to be living in the trees butt naked with my 8-man. Okay? That's my goals. You know, when people have like life goals. Or I'm going back to Andromeda so I can be free and clear from all the restraints of the madness in this world. Okay? That's just, I know it's TMI, but it is what it is. I think you can you accept me? I told you I was a frog, like I'm a trans frog, but really, I'm like, I told you, I'm like, I can be an ape woman too. Oh, check on him. We're not even to 500 yet. I came on here impromptu. I was supposed to go on my computer. Everything's down. I didn't have everything ready. I'm holding my phone because I was supposed to be on my computer, but obviously I'm not on my computer. I'm holding my phone. You see? Does this make you dizzy when I do that? Into the thick of it. There was this person who said I'm mentally ill, and I want to confirm. Okay, let me do my, what is it, PSI? Public service announcement. No, PSA. Okay, let me do my PSA for everyone until we get to 500. If you thought I was mentally ill, yes, absolutely. I am living with psychopaths. I am suffering from all kinds of PSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. I got all kinds of crazy feelings in my body. Like, yeah. I claim it. My mental illness is stimulated by the mother-freaking government of the United States of America. Yes. So when you say I'm claiming it all day. I don't know who's sane. Whoever's sane in this insane world, I give you all the props. You won't be sane when you know the truth of what's going on here. Okay? So yes, for the person who said that they said I was sexy, but I'm insane and they like crazy women. I am insane. And no, you won't have access to me. Because anyone who would call me out like that and gaslight me, you don't get to be with me. Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Yes, honey. We're not even to 500 yet. So how are y'all doing? I'm behaving myself. I am behaving myself. I have a sweater on today, a wool sweater. Feels so good. It's snowy outside. I don't know. I'm feeling really nostalgic. I love, I'm saying I grew up in the Northeast. I love the snow. It's so nice. It's kind of romantic, don't you think? Like holding your mate's hand in the snow, sitting outside, drinking a cup of coffee, like in your really good winter socks. I love that, right? Anyway, check on in, y'all. I'm going to discuss my contact this week, and then we're going to get into the separation, which many of you are probably preparing for. So we'll kind of talk about it. It is peaceful, right? I actually feel like the snow, and it's interesting. The snow is really, I don't know, it's kind of, it's like a, it's harmonized. It's like a, not even harmonized. What's the word? It's peaceful. It's almost like when it snows, it's so quiet. It's so quiet and peaceful. I didn't make any snow angels, not purposefully yet. When I get a moment, I'll go and make some snow angels. You doing good, melanated high priestess? Good, good, good. I'm so sorry. So, you know, as soon as I talk about harmonizing I'm on the phone. I'm not supposed to be on the phone here. I'm supposed to be on my computer. But the computer, I was supposed to save this, go on my computer and do the live, but unfortunately, I am on my phone and I'm holding it like back in the days. That is so ghetto, right? I am ghetto fabulous, fabuloso. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute, check on it. I'm waiting until we get to 500 and I'll start the conversation. We're going to talk about the black. Now this is different because I think, and maybe I should wait. I'll wait until we get to 500 because this is going to be kind of like synced into the Ethujeans. Remember I told you, I kind of felt like the Ethujeans was a hub and they made me the ambassador. But this is something that is connected to them, which is connected to the phone call of the black extra cosmic males that contacted me. Remember last Halloween when I was using the phone? So you said eyes wide shut. It's not FleurBrun After Dark. Please refrain from saying things like that. And then we'll maybe talk about, I wanted to discuss, everyone's afraid to talk about Trump. Are we going to talk about the Robotoid trunk? I want to give a big shout out to Rudolph of Germany, the tall white alien. You know, me and him have like a little bit of a connection. I know many of you get fearful of him. All of his information has been 1000% authentic, real, and on point. I've known Rudolph. Oh my God. I've been on YouTube for 13. It's bugged out. I've been on YouTube for 13 years, y'all. Going now over 13 years. And Rudolph, I think, oh God, maybe I became aware of him. There was a C-star who had a show. Many of you know on Blog Talk, because that's who used to interview me all the time. It was the, oh gosh, what were they called? Oh God. Oh my gosh. Time has flown. Hold on. Let me remember, y'all. I'm having a moment. I'm having a moment. Hold on. They were called the Goddess Suite. Do you guys remember that? Big put a one if anybody remembers. Some of you you may have just been new to me, but that's where many of you may have met me before you knew me on YouTube. Was Goddess Suite with Kendra. She's really pretty. Really, really pretty. The two sisters. Do you remember on Blog Talk? I used to be interviewed by them. Now they made me acquainted with with Rudolph the Tall White Alien because they saw him and he must have been watching my videos. So they made me acquainted and showed me the video when he had that weird monster on it. Remember the guy, remember the hybrid? I didn't get to see it. They took it off, like YouTube took it off. He had a hybrid human on. And then some people got a chance to see it again. I didn't see the hybrid. Kendra did. So big up to Kendra and Goddess Suites. I know they moved on, but the two of them, I think it was Stacy and Kendra. Big up to anyone who used to watch it, but he had them on, and that's how it became connected to. And ever since he started to wear the blue cobalt glasses, he was the one who helped me through the what do you call it, the rainbow event. So many of you know. So you know, he was talking about how a musty, dusty Elon Muskie is a cyborg, and I talked about the fact that he does not look real. He looks like he's shaped like a Robotoid. He looks like one of them Terminator, like a bad Terminator. He looks boxy like his cars. He looks like an unfinished. Big up to Daryl who said that those cars, whatever those crazy looking, they look like Matchbox cars. What was that car? What are those cars called? Those unfinished, trying to be like Jamie Foxx's car in Back to the Future. Boxy. He said they look like tissue boxes that weren't finished, like non. Big up to Daryl. Daryl said, wait. He said they look like unfinished boxes of like Boxes of tissue. And Elon Musk is shaped like, I'm not shaming him. I apologize. I'm supposed to behave. We're going to go into the separation. I got to behave myself because on the 14th, we're going to do something and I'll discuss it. I said he's shaped like it. That was very nice. This is why I have mental illness, y'all. This is where my mental illness is coming from. You see my egregious behavior? Please forgive me for that. Okay, let me behave. I'll talk about the androids next time. And let me give a shout out to my stalker. I have a stalker in here who's very, 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 very persistent. They're not really really mean, but they're a stalker. I have to give them a shout out because I had to, many of you know I'm a Sagittarius and I apologize for some of the banter that comes out of my mouth. If you've been with me for a while, it's very hard for me to really stop saying the things that I should not. My mother taught me to not say everything that's in my head, and sometimes I do. And the stalker, even though he's really, really handsome, it's probably the most handsome stalker I've ever had. And I behave myself because I am non-affected by beautiful, sexy, brown, tall, beautiful eyed, indigenous brown man. I have to behave myself because I am strong and I've mastered my loins and I am a woman of a certain age. So I master myself. But I have to give a shout out to my stalker because I curse them out. And I told you I will curse you out if you bother me. If you stalk me and you come into and you encroach into my space without permission, you will get cursed out. And if you don't leave me alone, I'll send the brujanas after you in Brazil. That's not a threat. That's a promise. But unfortunately for him, he really apologized, y'all. He apologized and he decided that he wanted to change over his leaf. Is it leaf? Change over a new leaf, right? And he decided that he was going to stop stalking me, so he said, and he would turn to Jesus Christ. I'm joking. Turn his life over to Jesus Christ. No. But he's actually behaved himself. I think sometimes men like when you curse them out. Do you find that? Some men do you men like that? Do you like getting cursed out? Like, I think some men only respect you when you put their foot in it, when you like kick them with your words in their mouth. I don't know what that's about. Like, are you men do you like aggressive women? Like, is that your thing? Is that like some sort of fetish? But anyway, shout out to the stalker. I think you're beautiful, but I'm on to hire. I have a thing for ape men. So, unless you can bring your spaceship down here and join the Ethujean brigade, I don't think me and you could be together. Okay? But shout out to him. He's behaved himself. I have to give a shout out because I give props to people who have self-control and self-mastery. Okay? I'm a woman of a certain age. You shouldn't be stalking me. There's a lot of young IG models that may have penises between their legs. Maybe you should start stalk them. They might like that. You know what I mean? That doesn't do it for me. Anyway, let me... That was a little confession. Into the thick of it. I'm waiting until 500. Should I just start? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gaslighting you. I'm gaslighting probably the stalker, too. Maybe I shouldn't talk about the stalker because that might ignite them. I just had to give them props because they've left me alone. They've stopped the weirdo kind of things. He's a good-looking guy, but sometimes, it could be like a sociopath waiting to, like, do something weird. You know what I mean? Thank God he can't carry. Well, he probably could. But anyway, I'm going to go. I'm almost to 500. I'm talking too much. I need to stay on topic when I have too much time to talk to you because normally we get to 500 quickly. I came in impromptu, so I'll wait a second and then we'll discuss it afterwards. Is everybody okay? Are you feeling the energies? Are you feeling the separation of the two earths? Are you feeling like there's a lot of endings in your life right now? You said these guys are weird. I got a lot of weirdos. Yeah, I think there's a lot of weirdos, girl and men. I think this kind of environment that we're existing in kind of generates weirdos. Like, I think this is the kind of environment that really creates weirdos. Don't you think? It's very strange. People don't even date anymore. They just like watch Netflix, hook up, and like live in a house together, right? And wash each other's socks. Is that like the new thing? Anyway, I just thought I'd say that. What is this? Okay. I'm going to start, y'all, because I'm not going to wait until 500 because it's taking too long, and obviously I'm on here. Someone said sadly. I'm not washing your socks, sir. I have too much time on my hands today. Anyway, okay, so let's kick it off. I'm going to start before 500. We've got like 80 more to go, but I just want to start the subject because I got to go out again. So zombies, you probably won't see me again because I've got to go. I've got to go into the forest again tonight. I have mommy duties. My little one is doing something special, and I must be present, right? Because I want to be deemed a good mother, right? Maybe my lip gloss. Okay. All right, y'all. I think I'm almost there. Oh, my lip gloss. I don't want to ruin it. Okay. Oh, we're almost there. Maybe I'll start at 500. Okay. I'll give it another moment. Check on in. Congratulations on the new grandchild, Universal. Oh, someone had a grandbaby? Oh, Universal had a grandbaby? Congratulations. The grandbabies. Oh my God. How special is that? You know, you get to have your little ones all over again, but then you get to spoil them and send them right home and do exactly what your mom used to do to your children, right? Feed them, fatten them up, get them all hyped up, and send them right back home, right? And tell your children this is what you used to deal with. I think it's beautiful. Congratulations. I wish you a beautiful, happy, healthy grandbaby and enjoy every moment. Okay. All right, I'm going to start, y'all. So big up to everybody in here. Peace to the east, west, north, south. This is FleurBrun coming to today with shaky hands. I'm on my phone. Please do not complain. And I already just denoted, let me give another PSA. If you feel that I am mentally ill, if you feel like I have imaginary friends in space, if you feel like the things I share with you are non-relative, I give you all the permission to leave now and forever hold your peace, okay? You don't have to stay here. This is for those who are in sync and remember, I don't promote my channel. I don't tell you to share it with anyone because I'm so geeky and strange that a person who isn't in this awareness would literally feel like they were losing their minds listening to me, okay? So just, you know, unassign yourself to my channel and, you know, just like you subscribe, you can unsubscribe and leave and go to another bioborg, a synthetic, a clone, whatever you listen to. Go listen to their channel. They edit, they have perfect stuff. They don't do stuff on their phone. Perfect for you, okay? All right, so I'm gonna discuss today, I had contact with the Ethujean, the black, I like to say it, ever since Norman Brugman came on Carrie Cassidy's show, how many years ago, on what is it called? Camelot, on Project Camelot. Many of you know Carrie Cassidy. She has a channel, and listen, I've had issues with that, and I clown that situation all the time because I'm just petty like that. But she has a great body of work. So when I talk about Carrie Cassidy, even if you hear me say things like that, I want you to also listen to ribbit. See, I respond when you say that. So I always compliment her body of work. I just criticize her for being so prejudiced that it was hard for her to accept that there are black extraterrestrials that were literally participating and had meetings with the government, your governments, okay? So, but other than that, her body of work is great. So many of you know, if you don't get a chance, I know the book is really expensive now. I would all say reading the book, The Ringmakers of Saturn by Norman Brugman. And I'm starting to think that it is not necessarily the Ringmakers of Saturn. I actually think it might have been the Ethujeans. It depends. Again, complexion does not denote species. And I always say this I have to sober you up a little bit and get you out of mind control programming. Complexion doesn't denote species nor same group of ETs or cosmonauts. Okay, so I'll break you out of your spell a little bit. A German man would not think he is a German man wouldn't think he's an Irishman. An Irishman wouldn't think he's a Frenchman. A Frenchman wouldn't mistake himself for a man from Norway. A man from Norway wouldn't think he's from Croatia. You understand? So complexion doesn't, a man from Ghana does not think he's from Nigeria. A man from Nigeria does not think he's from Liberia. Liberians don't think that they're South Africans. So we have to stop saying, because it is a purposeful social engineering that your government likes to, especially with brown people in the Americas, it likes to put you in one category to lump you all together. That's why there's so much riff a lot of times, because we aren't of all the same cloth. Okay? I may look like a lot of women that are copper. I may look like them, but genetically I am maybe even just chemical, massive amount of molecules and cellular components away from who they are. And, you know, nationality, how I speak, the language, based language, all that. I just had to sober you up a little bit. Because when I talk about the Ethujeans, when I talk about the black ETs, when we talk about Norman Brugram's denotion of what he saw in the image that was coming off those ships. Now, we talk about a lot of times the fact that they're hiding these big black extraterrestrials. And also, I think there was 2 Saudi prince. Oh, gosh. I'm going to share the picture after I get off live. I'm going to share the picture of these 2 giant black men. Now, they're saying that they're from Africa, maybe Sudanese. Sudanese are also very, very tall. And it's amazing to me, like this Sudan is being attacked by the Daros right now, right? So it's interesting to me, there are groups that are here that are non-conquered, that are in contact with your government. And then you remember, we had issues with the Moors, which I actually think are Martians, and the Moors are black. I gotta say this, because Adamor, whenever you get the names Adamor, a lot of you may be from the bloodlines of the Moors. If you got the last name Black in any way, Black, whether it's in French, Spanish, or English, Adamor is a Moor. Anything with Moor in it, anything like Ken Moore or Ed Moore or something like that, that means that most likely they're carrying the signature of their ancestry through the name, okay, as a reminder of what you come from. So when we talk about the different types of extraterrestrials, many of you know I'm in contact and I am a seed of the Andromedans. And I've talked about that for many years, but now within the later years, which is interesting, is that I hadn't ever had contact as much with the black males until that phone call. Now, before then, I could say that maybe I had remnants of contact. Many of you know I'm a contactee. I haven't been new to the block, so I've been on YouTube for 13 years. Other than people coming on now saying they're all involved in ETs, I was on YouTube when they were calling me crazy for talking about reptilians, saying that I was a mad woman for having contact and stating it, okay? Now it's accepted, and it makes it easier to have this conversation with you with a level of receptivity, okay? Before, it was really difficult and hard, and I only resonated with those who are in that alignment or who came from the UFO genre or sector, okay? So that being said, many of you know I had contact originally with a being on the phone, a male. Now, this is the time with the phone. I talk about I had that call, and it was like music I heard, and then it turned into voices, and it was a brown male, like a very strong warrior type, and he told me not to get involved, like there was no reason to get involved, and that the way that wars are fought are literally what they're doing here by killing women and children is against all the principles cosmically. And with the hub of the Ethujeans, which I don't think it's just one group, I think it's several different groups that are in this hub, almost like what do they call them? Like there's a group, like they say that like they have a treaty together, like different groups that come together on the same umbrella, like that. Ever since I was in contact with them, they come occasionally. But this is the first time I ever saw the physical ones that literally showed up. And I think what's happened is, because we're about to go through the separation, and this is connected to the separation that we're having now, there's a layer of unveiling that's happening that I don't think in our lifetimes within this shift, within this cycle, because in other cycles we probably had similar forms of contact, maybe had more, but in this cycle, this is the first time I've experienced this level and layer with these type of males. And the Ethujeans, and I say they're Ethujeans because that's the energy that they came with. It was almost like telepathically, that's the first name that came in my head when I saw them, and they were mad cool. And I'm going to give visuals this time because this is the first time I can actually give a visual of those beings that I'm in contact with. So this happened around Tuesday or Wednesday. I know that we had a lot of solar flares. So there were certain things physiologically going on with me. And ever since my mother had transitioned, everything that I am energetically is amplified. So if I had contact before, everything is amplified now. She kind of tore open the quantum field when she transcended. And with her ripping open that field, it allows me a different kind of access to the other side that was different than before. Okay? So this time it was 3. We're not talking about the students that had the geometrical hair. Do you remember when I told you about the students? And it was like I was young but I figured I was young. I didn't see myself, but I was around these young brown children. I say youth. I don't want to say children, youth. And they had geometrical afros. Remember I talked about that? Now, I think they also are in the umbrella. Either they're the use of the Ethujeans or they're under the umbrella, okay? But these 3 warriors, one almost looked like a, I hate to say it, because it's going to sound crazy. One looked like little, what's his name? Little Scrappy? I hope that's the right person. Am I right? Is Little Scrappy the one with, that was with Erica and, what's the other one he was with? Is that the same one? Can you guys let me know? Yes, am I correct? Okay, I just want to make sure. He looked like Little Scrappy. And you know what's interesting is that I almost think that some of the celebrities, when I saw this, the other 2 didn't. The one that I was playing with verbally, that was the one that looked like Little Scrappy. And it makes me think, and this is just me theorizing this, I don't know this for a fact, that a lot of the celebrities that we see are clones of the ones that are from the other worlds. Some of them are clones. Because I was thinking to myself, Little Scrappy's not that tall. And this guy was tall. And one thing was different with him, like I was playing with him and I was asking him about the separation and what I should do to prepare. And he had the same smile as Little Scrappy, very, very, very like beautiful, like a kind of peaceful but strong disposition that lets you know that if he was met with any angst of anything, he could kill, he could destroy within an instant. But such a wonderful peace that our men aren't allotted in this realm. Now, the other night, we also uncovered something that's going on in the Bermuda. So I'll talk about that a little later because when we talk about the separation, I'm going to talk about that because that's related. Anyway, the one gentleman looked like Little Scrappy. I'm not saying he was Little Scrappy. I just thought it was interesting when I saw him. And it's not someone I watch. So it's not like saying it's, oh, when you see someone like that, it's because you saw a celebrity. No, I'm starting to think that a lot of the beings that are on the other side, they will definitely clone them or get replicants of them, maybe to make us forget about the others that we may know. Maybe he's a high general. This black extraterrestrial is a high general. And because he is, so to take our focus off of maybe the memory we would get, maybe they create an image of a lower version of it. Not to say, I don't know Scrappy, y'all, Little Scrappy. I don't know him. I don't want to, I'm judging just based on what he represents in this place. That's all. I don't want to be disrespectful because I don't know him, but I'm just saying he doesn't represent something high and high vibrational in our realm. And who I saw was a warrior. Like literally, he was much taller. And the 2 other gentlemen with him were more like beautiful, dark skin. And I'm giving you an image. Dark skin, kind of very, very dark, but like dark brown, but gold underneath their hue. I can't explain. You've seen, like I say, like you see this in certain nations, but it's different because they have like a glow underneath their skin. You see how I'm caramel, I'm more of like a copper complexion. Just imagine like a glaze of like a darker, beautiful brown cosmic skin, but like gold underneath it. And when I was asking, I don't want to call him little scrappy, but I would just want to use that as my example. The gentleman, the warrior that I was talking to, that was being very flirty with me, kind of just, I don't know if he was flirting, but he was smiling and very energetic, and it was very alluring. He was the one letting me know. I was asking him questions about how we could overcome one of the tsunamis that's coming. Do I need to get a big enough boat? And I was having that conversation with him when the other ones were kind of like standing on guard. They were relaxed, but standing on guard. And they had these plates like attached to their skin. Like, you ever see like a mannequin, like almost like plates, but it looked like it was attached, but they were black. So even though the skin were very dark, beautiful brown, but like copper or gold underneath their skin, I can't explain. It's like really beautiful dark skin, but has a glow, like a hint of like goldenness to their brownness, their brown skin. It isn't something I see very often here. So it isn't something I can compare to. I don't know men. I know brown, beautiful, handsome brown men of all different hues, but I haven't a memory, at least not, maybe those of you who play like anime or I don't know, video games or movies, maybe you saw a being like that, but it's different than anything I've ever seen, like visually myself. And they had chest plates, like literally their armor was built to the contour of their body when their bodies were bad. Like I'm talking about like sea stars. A lot of us have been in a drought. And I don't want to amplify our need and our necessity to probably think about mating off-world, but these men were interesting, very big, strong, and their plates, their chest plates were contoured to their body. So the two men, the little scrappy had the same one, but it wasn't of the same color. The other men had black chest plates that were connected to their skin. So you could see it contoured their body. And it looked like a type of armor. I'm assuming it wasn't their wear, like a wear, they're just not wearing it as a uniform. I'm assuming these were worn as a way to like to when you're going to battle, like chest plates. Now, I don't know that I've ever seen that. Again, a lot of you are, some people are gamers. Maybe you know, I don't play games. I've never seen anything like that. So it was contoured to the body, kind of form-fitting. And they were standing there kind of like relaxed, but on guard a little bit while I talked to little Scrappy. And again, I'm talking to him about what is coming. What's interesting is that I didn't have in my mind at the time that there was a flood, but I had the conversation. So I now remember that the beings, the cosmic beings had made a treaty. Remember, I talked about this before, the flood that came. They had a treaty with the mermen in the waterways. This is one of little Scrappy. I think he has to do with like a maybe Atlantis. The way he looks very Caribbean looking, like almost like he's here, but he might have mixed with the humans. Like he might be mixed because he looks like little Scrappy. Maybe he's a hybrid. But he didn't look like the two other men. The two other men look more concentrated in whatever they look like. Like, again, brown, beautiful skin, cosmic skin. It was so beautiful, like almost alluring, like you almost felt like you were looking at gods. Like flakes of like gold hues underneath that brown skin. Those big chest plates are all big. But little Scrappy seemed more relaxed, more reserved, almost like he had some of the energy of some of our males here. And I know now that the conversation I made with the cosmic, what I had with the cosmics that had the treaty with the mermen, he has something to do with the waterways. I don't know if he controls it. I don't know if he monitors that. I don't know if he comes from the underworld but the way that he acted made me think that, but why would I have a conversation with him about water and what type of vessel I needed to evade or be protected or have safe haven during the flood. This was the conversation I was having with the guy who looked like little Scrappy. Okay, so that's the only memory I have. I don't have more to give you regarding that. I'm going to kind of segue over, but I wanted to share the contact I had with them. I think I had more of a conversation. It just faded out. I remember that specifically, and I remember closing my eyes, going like this, saying, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. I got to remember this. I had to remember. And when I got up, I got up and I remember being by the window and thinking to myself, why would I have that conversation about the water? But later on with the conversation with the zombies, it made a lot of sense. Okay, so we're going to go into the separation. If you would ask me more questions about the contact another day, maybe you'll trigger it. I'll probably talk to the zombies about it. There's another sea star in my group who also had contact, and she was taken up on a ship. I think it was the same day or the same evening. So this might have been a reason, there might have been a reason for this kind of contact and this kind of revelation at that specific time. I'm not sure of what it is now, but both of us had some form of contact that day or that evening. So I think it could be related to something cosmically, energetically that was happening, okay? So when we go into the concept of the separation, there are many different groups that speak about whether, it doesn't matter, either they're religious, they're shamans, they're anarchists, they're occultists, they all speak about the separation now. And there's a song from 1974, I think one of our sea stars, I can't read it for you now, I usually have it on my phone and I can read it to you, but it talks about the separation, the crack, there's a crack in the world. That's what it's called, there's a crack in the world. It's 1974. This rock performer sang a song talking about it all comes together in 2025 when the total separation will happen and it won't be televised. It's a wonderful song. I'm actually going to put the words after this. Oh, yes, is that it? Hagar, yes, Sammy Hagar. Thank you, Carrie. Yes. If you listen to that song and get the actual words, you're going to see that he said it would happen in 2025. So you got to ask yourself, since 2020, and I don't think these are the actual years. I think we're chronologically way off, but because we're going according to the Gregorian calendar, and this is the calendar that we're going to reference, we got to speak about the fact that a lot of things that happened from 2020 was a preparation and also a separation. And you have to go back to start thinking to yourself. I want everybody in here to think about it. Do you remember what your life was like before cucarachas, before the masks, before the mandates, before the government and Willy Wonka had gone full Nazi concentration camp on us? Do you guys remember it? I want you to remember that. Because I want you to remember the time before so that you can chronologically take in that information in your head and think of how different your life is post 2020. Think about how different your life is. Think about how many people transitioned from then. Think about all of the things in your life that totally changed that wouldn't have changed until 2020 came and hit us in that way. Okay? It's totally different. I know everybody in here feels it because it feels like nothing is right from that time. It feels like there isn't true tangibility anymore. Like, remember, you could plan a vacation, you had all these things. Everything seemed like it was pretty ritualistic. I'm not saying everybody's life was great, but there was more, I don't know if I say congruency or tangibility to our lives before 2020. Okay? And afterwards, with as many transitions as we've witnessed in my life with family members, I think many of our lives have changed in a way that we couldn't have predicted. Now, what does this relate to the separation? There is a separating that's happening now. And it's interesting because a lot of your occultists, they all know that this time was coming. And I've talked about the fact is that why we're getting so many expectations from UFOs, cosmic spheres that are coming out of the water, everyone is watching simulated Earth right now. Everything is here to witness something that's about to occur that may have not been something that was ever done before. You're seeing a separation. So many of you used to have friends that you used to hang out with. You may not even hang out with them anymore. You used to have a lifestyle that was very different. Maybe you were fatty. Don't worry, I'm a thickums too. And you changed your eating to become healthier because cucarachas and the bio-designed weaponry that they unleashed on us throughout the world was getting a lot of people sick. So maybe you became more health conscious after that, more conscientious of the things you eat, the way that you live, how you enjoy yourself. Maybe you aren't sleeping with people that are cucarachi shotted up. Maybe you change that aspect of yourself. So a lot of things have changed from then. And a lot of the dynamics of your life have shifted. And with that, we talk about the literal separation of the Earth, the simulation Earth, from 3.0, some would say to 5.0, but I actually think it's a higher shift. I think that 5.0 is still within the firmament. This is what's interesting. I remember thinking to myself, it's interesting that when they talk about 5G and 5D, you don't think it's kind of synonymous? Like it almost is too close. Like sometimes you say things and they make another word or another symbol and it has very similar, almost the same energy. I personally think that 5G, 5D are one and the same. And I think 5D is inside the dome still. It is still in the encapsulated form of existence. It may be a higher, perhaps, form of existence, maybe more spiritual, maybe more grounded, a little healthier, but I actually think 5D is inside of the dome. I think 7, that's why they call 7th heaven, 8, the whole infinity thing. I actually think that 7 and 8 might be above that rim. And that's why they're constantly perpetuating this 5D, 5D, 5D. And you know, if it wasn't so ritualized and propagandized, I wouldn't think anything of it, right? I wouldn't think of it. But when they propaganda and they're constantly utilizing repetitive statements or ideologies, I know that it's rigged. I know that it's rigged from them doing it. Just like the whole love and light, just like the whole, you know, even with when we talked about the twin flames, a lot of the ideologies are pushed out there, but they may have an inversion. Hey, Delmache. They may have a flipped version of it. So they kind of push it out in one way so that you are not aware of the other way that it exists. So I actually think, and I could be wrong. And I'm okay with you sharing your idea if it's something different for you. But I actually think that we're going that split. That split is actually splitting us. I think 5D is the ceiling, just like 5G. I think it's the ceiling of the dome. I think outside of that is 7 and above. And it could be higher, but that's my concept at this point. And it may change, but that's why I think at this point. So I think the separation is separating us from 3, 4, and 5D into like 7, 8, and 9. But I think the Earth itself is splitting. It's literally splitting. And that's why they're perverting you. That's why they're bringing all these, hey, Chan, that's why they're bringing all these dark, savage, sexual deviant, really dark behaviors to the forefront and making you replicate it, you know, suggestible to you. You know, it's the same thing, like I say, with even Sean Combs, with the whole idea of the P. Diddy and the hey, Teresa, with the whole idea of P. Diddy or Sean Combs and the baby oil and the sexual deviancy. Why would they ever share that? Why, back in the days when we were younger, if anything happened in court to that degree, they would keep it under wraps, not to infiltrate the children's minds, not to bleed that onto the public to pervert them. They purposefully shared all the sexual deviancy. And mind you, let me say this. I don't agree with them. People think because I'm from Mount Vernon, I cape for people from Mount Vernon. No. When you do disgusting things, I just think it's disgusting. But there isn't any way that he should be brought in court for his perversions when he wasn't brought in court for perhaps killing his baby mama, Kim. Okay, Kim Porter. It isn't any way that you wouldn't bring him in for killing Biggie Smalls and setting him up. There isn't any way that you wouldn't bring him into court for the killing and murder of Craig Mack. Like, Why are you bringing this man in? And also and there's a host of others that I personally think. So it's interesting to me that the dark Kabbalists will only amplify and bring out and propagandize Sean Combs when it comes to perversions and things like that. But the very deeds that many of us suspect that he was involved in, no one ever brings up the fact that all of the people around him, artists, that he is also getting all the residual checks of their royalties off of their albums, and has done so well. The reason why he's a millionaire and a billionaire is because he is a parasite and vampire off the talents that he took in and pirated all of their talent and basically killed them so that he can get all the checks. It's my personal opinion. My personal opinion. But yet you will share to the public, to young people, and to share the facts of all the deviancy that this man was doing, knowing very well that most of your U.S. presidents, if not attended some of these parties, and were power bottoms, taking it up the rear, taking it well. Because remember, there's a lot of whistleblowers talking about that when they would walk in the door, especially one, I don't think that's a public. Just say I may know someone who said they walked in the door and they saw a congressman being bent over and happy to spread it for Sean Combs. Okay? But you make it seem like all of the other deviancy is happening with regular people. No, your US Willy Wonkas, all of your Willy Wonka systems throughout the world, they're all participating in such deviancy. But why I'm saying this and sharing this to you is because right at this pinnacle moment in the development, in the involvement of the beings, the soul beings here, who have the ability to leave this firmament, who have graduated from this existence in this simulated encasement or imprisonment, at this time, they're being compromised. Their parole is being compromised by perversions, deviancy, showing things about murder, showing people changing their sex. Let me say this, y'all. When you come into this existence, whether you believe it or not, this is my knowing. We make contracts, whether you do it under a glaze of, not knowing from being recycled back into the recycling chamber in the dark side of the moon, which personally I think we're existing in right now. That's just my thoughts. But regardless, you make decisions to come here. So if I come here as a woman, and that's the contract, to exist as a woman and to experience maybe some form of marginalization, because maybe in a past life I came from a patriarchal regime where I was heinous to women. So in this life I may have chosen to come in woman form, very soft, to receive the same behavior that I might have given to others in other lives, right? I might have done that. So I come in this woman form. But these psychopaths, these sociopathic psychopaths, are propagandizing for people to change their sexes into another thing so they aren't going to satisfy their contracts. There's a reason why you come here in certain forms. There's a reason that you've contracted to be in a certain genre, a certain sex, a certain nationality, a certain race, a certain class. It's to engage in a way that satisfies a contract and also maybe elevates you into an awareness where you go above so that you have the ability to parole yourself out, cash yourself out of the system and be able to leave and wake up outside the firmament. This is my personal belief. And I know a lot of people say things like, you'll see people online, and this is where I disagree. And please forgive me, y'all, if we may have different mindsets. People who say they're canceling out their contracts, they make these big, huge, declarations of, I cancel my contract. You aren't canceling jack. All you're doing is prolonging the process of your parole. If you were a nasty mother freaker in another life, you were sitting there touching on women, marginalizing women, and then you come in as a woman who's experiencing it, satisfy the contract. You're going to X out the contract and come back in a worse, lower form who's going to be forced to engage in the way that you may have instituted and another or propagated that to another being or done something to another being in another life. Satisfy your contracts. There isn't anyone who gets away. There aren't any victims here, y'all. And I know many people don't like that concept, but there isn't. What we do is what we are, and what we do is our karma. I accept it. I've done some, I haven't done as much as I'd like to do. I would have been naughtier, but I had some consciousness, and I had really sweet parents that kind of guided me and guilted me into behaving myself, whatever worked. But that was what I chose in this video game, the simulation, so that I would behave myself, so I wouldn't compromise myself. So I personally think that when you come in and you violate your contract and you try to go against it by transhumanizing yourself, switching yourself into another species, trying to mutilate your genitalia, coming in here and engaging in savagery and diabolicalness, you are already forfeiting your ability to be able to leave this. You will be here for the next cycle. Okay, and the next cycle is forms of biobotism, syntheticas, androids. It's going into more of a transhumanism. That other Earth that's separating from the more naturopathic, higher level Earth, that is separating. That's where the hyper materialistic people are going to be anchored. So if you're obsessed with, that's why they make you watch all these people with really egregious wealth. Remember back in the days, if you were very wealthy, they say, no, don't show that. It was not good. It's not good to let people know. You don't want to show that off. My mother would say that. My mother would say, you don't show off. That's so, you make people feel bad. Why all of a sudden, it started with Cribs, y'all. Remember MTV? Who's of a certain age? Do you guys remember MTV Cribs? Tell me if you remember. Everybody won if you remember MTV Cribs. Do you guys remember that? Let's see who's of a certain age in here. Might be some young millennials maybe in there. Do you guys remember remember Cribs? Oh my God, you can't tell me it didn't start with that. Look at everybody. Look at this. I love it. Look, they all remember. Oh my God, that's crazy. Look at this. That's kind of awesome. MTV Cribs. Now, what did MTV Cribs do to us? It made us super, super aware of wealth, opulence, and egregiousness in that realm. And what did you start to see after that? You started to see women prostituting themselves more. You saw the realm of thought botism, right? The hot box thoughtism, right? You started to see young girls compromising themselves for a Birkin bag, right? For dinner, which, let me state this. I think, young ladies, stop it already. You shouldn't have a man go and take you out and spend all of his bill money to take you out just because you want to have a good dinner. That's so cruel. I don't agree with that. You can go on a date and not make him spend all his money because he thinks he's going to get some oochie coochie. Stop it already. Be decent. Okay? Thoughterism came out of Cribs, y'all. Okay? That whole thing with Cribs. And remember, what's her name? Anna Nicole Smith with that old, dusty, busty, musty, old millionaire lawyer. Was he an attorney? They showed her high as a kite. Do you guys remember that? High as a kite. She was so hot, and she was beautiful, y'all. I don't think that was a man. Someone said that's a man. I don't think she was a man. I think she was just very buxom, blonde, beautiful, just thick, tall, big. Remember she was with them. She was high as a kite, and it showed women compromising themselves, thoughting themselves out to attach themselves of men of wealth. Okay? I blame MTV Cribs. I do. Because with MTV Cribs ushered in thought botism, and then you started to see shows like Basketball Wives, which nobody's a wife. All these women, most of the women on there are thoughts and homewreckers that like to sleep with other people's husbands and ruin their lives and wonder why the chaos follows them because they don't have respect for themselves or their children, and they engage in that way. So this is what the shows that came out of this. So you do see the succession of depletion of morals, ethics, and values. Do you see? I want to show this because this is what brings us to this point where there's a pulling apart of two parts of Earth. Okay? I get on men all the time, but remember, we can only get as far on men as we can the mothers that birthed these men into existence and the mothers who themselves were questionable and sexual in their behavior patterns. Okay? You know what I mean? mothers who were questionable in the things they exposed their young boys to then raise the monsters that many people don't want to mate with now. Okay. So, I talk about men, but I want to bring in some women because a lot of the women were the initiators. The thought bots were the initiators of this hyper materialism. Now we've got that OnlyFans where girls are cosplaying or men cosplaying women. We've got all of these deviant sexual platforms that are perpetrating all this simulated sex, this oh, wait a second. There's no little ones on here. Please. Oh, please, everybody. One thing I say, I'm going too far. I didn't tell you to put the little ones out the room. I think I already put earbuds. FleurBrun's going too far, and I don't want to go into this with the little ones in. Can you please put the little ones away? I'm going to give you a minute. I'm sorry. And why I do this, for anyone who's new to me, if you knew me for a while, you know why. I had little ones all the time when I used to be watching YouTube, and I always appreciated YouTubers who used to watch their language and their content or give us warnings as moms and abuelas. We like that. I love it because that's something I didn't expose my children to, nasty language in the house so I can ruin their blood and their frequency. So I always appreciated content creators who were very mindful, and I extend it myself. I love to extend that myself because I know that many of you watch with your little ones, and I wouldn't want to put anything in their head that's not appropriate. Not now. Okay. All right, so I think you've got the little ones. Put the buds on, give them crayons, get the Tonka toys on. You know what I mean? Go get the like my little one likes to, what do they play? The building things, whatever they're called. Little boys like to build stuff like that. They like to build buildings and all kinds of stuff like that. I grew up with Tonka boys. I bought fast car guys and Tonka boys. And soldier, remember I used to play with G.I. Joe, the soldier figures. Yeah. Anyway, okay, so why do I bring this up? There is now, I know it's for a fact, y'all, and I'm coming to you. I know it took me a while to come to you this week. I was busy, and I'm gonna try to make this a little faster so I can get to the point. And I don't want to, let me explain something. I haven't tried to shame women, but we have to make accountability. If we're going to make men accountable, we have to make women accountable for bringing in this thought, this kind of energy, this lower vibrational energy where they participated and engaging in ways that have compromised women's purity, their I want to say pure, like they've compromised the respect that women have gained over years that they fought hard for. Do you understand? So now that's kind of gone all down the drain because you have women going on and opening up their hoo-ha for a good $20. So you wonder why women can't have fulfilling relationships with new men, because God knows men don't have to try hard to get a woman's attention right now. Okay, he doesn't even have to put effort. That's why you're seeing a lot of men of low caliber status, no shade, low caliber status. They don't have to be good looking. They can have dusty balls down to the. We got somebody who makes ball holders. Lisa, can you, if you're looking for anybody to hold up your balls, there's somebody in my group who is making a contraption for your balls. Just FYI. The morals and everything have lowered because the women have compromised themselves. So now women who held back, my mother used to tell me all the time, if you're a good looking woman, you're a decent woman, you don't have to open up your legs. This is whether she was right or wrong, could be a judgment, but she say, if you're a pretty girl, a nice looking girl, a decent girl, you didn't have to open up your legs. You didn't have to. You can hold out. But nowadays, the prettiest girls are having sex with the least of the men. They haven't any standards anymore, and they're constantly sleeping with men for exchange of fiat or favors or attention or likes. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a shame. And I can't blame them totally because society is pushing it. And again, there's a reason why the social media moguls, the dark lords of social media, the same one who owns the banks, the same one who promote Rabbi Smuley's butt plugs with his daughter, who sells butt plugs and has a sex shop with his daughter. These are the type of people, call it what you want, okay? Perverts that are running society, and they're perpetuating it because they want to dirty you up. So you are compromising or forfeiting your right to ascend and go to the new earth, to separate into the other earth that might be more harmonic with you, might be more peaceful for you, might allow you to have access outside of the firmament and go outside back into your home worlds. So they're perpetuating this diabolical behavior. All you do is listen to music, and they lowered the frequency of the music, where many of us who are hip hop heads, big up to all my hip hop heads. I grew up in New York. Hip hop was our thing. We had the most magical, revolutionary music there was. There is no reminiscent energy connected to that music anymore. I remember my dad letting me go see and my dad, y'all, let me go to Public Enemy concerts. You know, it was like Fight the Powers That Be. And they have, you know, what's his name would have the soldiers marching on the stage. I mean, it was wonderful. You had Sister Soldier every Friday revolutionizing us, telling us how we can save our community. We had all of the wonderful music, and we had party music where we could go and it was like kid and play. You go and dance, and it was so innocent. What happened to that beautiful music? Summer, summer, summertime, summertime. What happened to those beautiful tones of frequencies, revolutionary music, music that literally built you up, that harmonized with you? Look at what they did to hip hop, y'all. They destroyed it. It's the same beings. They don't want you to have that kind of energy. They don't want you to have that frequency of being higher minded. Women were. Remember what Queen Latifah was like, ladies? She was like, ladies first. Remember ladies first? She was like, who are you calling up? UNITY, that's a unity. UNITY, that love a black man to affinity. I forgot the words, right? We loved ourselves. We respected ourselves. We had sex with guys we liked, that we were attracted to. We made it to get married and to have a family. It was beautiful. And unfortunately, Willy Wonka and his League of Doom, and I blame Musty Dusty and his cohorts, because they're all part of the same diabolical families, subterranean Darrows. They got big elephant noses. They got big ears. That's why Dumbo was a big story, y'all. They like to show that the Elephant Man, that's their people. The Darrows. They perpetuate. They got rid of separation. Everybody thought that, segregation ending was wonderful. No, it was your end. Now they got access to your son's blood types. They taken his semen in jail because he can't get commissary. They got all of your DNA in a laboratory where they're working their bioweapons on your food and everything to destroy you, and destroying music to your children. They co-opted all of hip hop. Now it's rap music, and they can't even talk. They're all ebonical, and they all have drug abuse minds, and brain damage from the amount of lean, drugs, and bad sex they're having with parasitic people. I don't want to criticize, and this is an observation that's really hard. For some of you who are of a certain age, I know our young people feel frustrated. I get it. I understand it. But right now we have a separation. And unfortunately, if you've been a victim and a participant in the diabolical, nefarious, satanic, Darrow's activity that's been perpetuated out here, and you've relegated your poor, low vibrational frequency and participated, you are going to stay on the anchored part of the earth. Okay? And they purposefully did this. That's why right now, to be right is to be wrong. That's why the highest up in society are the lowest vibrational people. That's why everybody gets rewarded for doing the most diabolical thing. When you see Kim Kardashian getting awards and being hyped up, and people act like that's normal, and you have young girls looking and trying to shapeshift their bodies into Kim Kardashian, you know we're living in a satanic realm. And I talked about the fact that the separation and watching Wicked. And that's what I was going to talk about. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm going to calm down because I'm talking too fast. Am I going too fast, y'all? I'm in the zone. Tell me if I'm going too fast. If I should, because I kind of just let it all loose, right? Are you guys okay? Put it 13 if you're okay, because I don't want to go too far too fast. Because I just keep going and I want to make sure you're with me. I don't want to talk over you. Okay? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, I went and saw the movie Wicked. Wicked for Good. And I also watched Stranger Things. And it's interesting, y'all, and that's how I know the separation is happening now. And I always have a resolve to this. So as much as I give you this and it frightens you, if it makes you feel a little scary and a little anxiety ridden, I'm going to bring you something good I'm always going to give you a remedy and a modality. I promise. Okay. I'm here to share things and enlighten you. And let me say this. It could be a little narcissistic because I do this because I want to. I feel good doing it. So as much as I give to you, I get something from that as well. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just like love and light. No, there's something cathartic about me sharing these revelations I make with you. I've done it for so long. It's part of who I am. So forgive me if it feels a little narcissistic, like she's sharing everything. I just have to do it. Okay. So I'm going to go into Wicked for Good. Now, in the movie Wicked for Good, and I don't want to, for those who have not seen it, who are planning to, there may be a spoiler alert. So I ask that maybe you don't want to listen to this. If you want to watch it, I don't want to ruin it for you. I'm not going to talk about all of it, but I'm going to bring up a very pinnacle point. And now I know we're going through a separation that's happening by the 21st, y'all. This is as soon as like now, y'all. It's really serious. And when I say it's serious, I'm 1000% we're separating. 1000 for the Ethujeans, for those men to come to me, y'all. For them to come to me in their armor and their wear and make me aware that it's necessary for us to be prepared for what's coming and sweeping over the earth. It's powerful. Okay? Okay. So in Wicked for Good, many of you know that when you're watching the two, and remember, what's interesting is big up to DJ Lisa on my channel. I think who else? Oracle. We made this revolution. I said there's something with the green and pink. Now, big up to the AKAs. That's a sorority in the group. Where do you go? Right? The sorority ski-wee. The AKAs in here. What are your colors, AKA? Let's see what the colors of the AKA. Any AKAs in here? You sound like mice when you say that. Ski-wee. What's your colors, AKAs? Any AKAs in here? Let me see if they know their colors. Let's see if there's any in here. It's powerful because it's important. There you go. There they come. Look at them. I know you're in here. I won't judge you. Okay. The pink and green. Now, what's interesting about that, remember I told you they will always take something over. To change how it naturally would come to you, it's like a memory. So they want to take it over so that you don't know what it really means. The pink and red have something to do with the Anunnaki and the Andromeda. It's the colors that show up with those two places. So it's interesting, and in the Ethujean, I don't know all the different galactic sectors that are part of the Ethujean hub. I don't know, but I definitely know the Andromedans are part of it, and also what you perceive to be the Anunnaki, the Niburians are a part of it. And I'm assuming all the aquatics, certain aquatic queendoms and kingdoms are also in the Ethujean hub. Okay, so those two colors are very important. They're pinnacle. It's the green and the pink, which represent, and remember, in this story, green represents Elphaba, who is green. She's the one who's rejected. She's the most powerful. And I also want to bring in the fact that this is very related to Lovecraft. Now, if you haven't watched Lovecraft, this is something that over the pagan holidays of Satanism and Krampus that some of you celebrate, or Jesus, the blood of Jesus Christ, and all the eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Some of you participate, okay? I'm not going to judge you because many of us are occultists, right? So any of those holidays you're going to be celebrating, right? If you're celebrating Hanukkah, you're probably, and I'm going to get into that in the separation. We're going to get into that in a minute, okay? So when we're talking about Lovecraft, it's connected to the people who have power in this realm, okay? And why Alphabet, who's green, and many of you know that many of the extraterrestrials that have been here longer used to be green and blue, but because of the iron content in the air, their skin changed to brown. Different colors of brown: copper, brown, tan, and dark colors. Okay? So beings that came from other places who stayed in this atmosphere for too long, their color rusted, giving it a hue of brown. Okay? And then also for those of you who are copper, who are like copper colored people, as you oxidize, like, you know what happens when you wear a copper bracelet, y'all? What happens when you wear a copper bracelet and it starts to erode? What color does it change into? Anybody ever wear copper or a type of brass? It turns green, right? As it oxidizes, okay? That's important to know, because I think Elphaba's color is more there's something alchemy related to her color and what she represents, because she represents wicked. She represents the wicked witch, right? But though in the story, she's very connected to nature. Even in this series, she's living in the forest and the trees, right? Okay? She represents that was rejected, that had all the power, but if they could not use her and take her power or have some control over her, they would demonize her. And we see that in society now, right? Those who are most demonized in society are the ones who are against the establishment's goals or their agendas, right? Okay, so she is green, whereas Glinda, who has no power, all her power is artificial. Glinda is the good witch, right? But she has no ability to manifest anything. She doesn't have any ability to use any form of magic. She hasn't any sort of innate ability that makes her a witch, other than the illusion that is, and just like the Wizard of Oz, which was a Daros. The Wiz in this is also a Daros. The person who plays that part is also a Daros, right? He plays and he cosplays as the powerful being, right? He puts on this mask and air of power, right? He intimidates people with an illusion, just like Glinda. But the ones who have the most power in this realm are relegated to being demonized, like Negroes, like the brown people in the society. Brown people in the society, especially brown women, are constantly gaslit and labeled as negative. If you go on any television, if you go, like in China, there was a Chinese guy, and he was so honest, and I love this. He was so honest. He said, how do you feel about brown people? And what do you think about brown people in relation to what is shared with you on social media, what you know? And all brown people are constantly shown as thieves, lower vibrational, lower caste, lower intelligence, which is obviously not true, because you have so many different types of brown people, and brown people brown and hues of brown outnumber everybody on the planet. So to make that assumption when you have a whole planet full of brown people is just insidious, and also it makes no sense. If I relegated all social media to only low trailer park lunar people and let that only be the narrative that's shown throughout the planet, what do you think people would feel around lunar people? If I only showed lunar people, the lowest of lunar people. Now, lunar people say, well, we have people like that, but that's not a representation of all of us. Absolutely, I agree. But what if this is what the Wizard of Oz did with Elphaba. What if I took one type of person and demonize them and only use that as a form of social media? So anytime someone who wasn't exposed to brown people their whole life, who never met a brown person, their only concept of brown people is what is being propagated and socially engineered on television. Why would they do that to a people? What would be their reasoning? Unless, like Elphaba, they were powerful. They had some spiritual advantage that the others did not want them to know. There's a reason why everybody will say brown people are terrible, but then they tell their children on the street to go to brown people if they're ever lost. Which is it? How can we be devils and demons and thought bots and whores and low vibrational and less intelligent, but yet many people will send their children, if they're lost, to brown people? You cannot have both. Why I share that with you is because it's very powerful. In the movie Wicked for Good, though the two girls are friends, they're like sisters. One, Alphaba, she loves her sister, Glinda. She loves her. They're best friends. But Glinda's a sellout. Glinda's a sellout, and she sold herself for materialism, for acknowledgement, for social recognition. And she is a puppet to the system, to the agendas that are within that kingdom. Though the kingdom is being ran by a fake wizard who has no power whatsoever, and everything is literally being placated and artificially, socially engineered. Now, what's interesting in this is that we talk about the power of melanin, right? So Alphaba, who has the green skin, right? We find out something at the end. I'm not going to give you that spoiler at the end because you're going to find out who Alphaba's father is in this, okay? When you find out that Alphaba also, she had such compassion for the animals, right? And what did the wizard do to all the animals? He took away their voice, their way to communicate. So the animals who were living cohesive in the Wizard of Oz, who were living with a sense of equality, telepathically, because, they showed them talking, but really it's saying that animals had a sort of equality in the society, in nature. With Alphaba, they were professors, they were teaching, and this wizard, because he was afraid that these animals had the ability to discern right from wrong. When you watch the Terminator, there's a scene in the Terminator when they needed to find out how to discern if someone was a robotoid, a cyborg, or a human. Who would they use to find out if someone was a human? What animal would they use? It's important. This conversation is important. What animal did they use to discern if something was a cyborg? A dog, a German Shepherd. The same German Shepherd that also was with Will Smith in the movie. What's the movie with the zombies? Remember, he had also a German Shepherd. Also in the first Terminator. Remember when we find out that what's her name? In Terminator, the girl. Oh God, what was her name, y'all? Oh, I Am Legend. Thank you. I Am Legend. He had a German Shepherd. It's important, y'all. Okay. What was the name of Sarah Connor? Thank you, my loves. Thank you. Sarah Connor. What did she have when she was pregnant going through Mexico with the book? What did she have on her way to Mexico, y'all? Remember, she was leaving. She knew the end of days was coming. It's important for you to know this because that is also why they're closing down the borders. Where did she go? She left the country when she knew that the world was about to end and she had a German Shepherd by her side. Okay? A dog. They're able to discern. Animals can discern friend from foe quicker than sometimes a human. Even a human that's very conscious, self-aware, an animal has a different kind of spidey sense, an intuition, a vibration, vibratory sensitivity, where they can discern who's friend and who's not, who's real and who isn't. Okay? So in this movie, Wicked, I know I'm going a lot of places. Stay with me. I'm cooking. In this movie, Wicked, all of the animals, the Wizard of Oz takes away, he uses a potion, and he takes away the voices of all the animals, the ability for the animals to communicate. Now, I don't know if this matters. Maybe I'm tying this together, but you don't think it's odd that your Willy Wonka system is dumping a whole bunch of rabies baits in 6 states? I think it's Alabama. I think it was Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee. West Virginia. You don't think it's odd that your government is dumping that weaponized vaccine, some sort of vaccine that's going to stop rabies? You don't think that's odd? Is it like the Wizard of Oz taking away the voice or the energy of the animals, changing them, using forms of bioweaponry to disturb their nature? And I could go a little further, because remember when I was in Brazil, this is when I was a couple of years when I went before. I remember I was in Brazil, and I was trying to get back because my mother wasn't feeling well, and I had the dogs with me, and the dogs had their rabies shots when they left. And I remember, in order to come to the country, it was a couple girlfriends. I had a girlfriend in Greece at the time. She couldn't come back in the country with her dog. They were telling us that it didn't matter if our dogs were vaccinated or not. They weren't allowed to come back in the country unless we went through the CDC to come back in the country. And we had to fly into specific cities. We could not fly. And like, I was living in Orlando at the time. I had to fly into Miami. And every animal coming into the country had to get a chip. This is related to Wicked, y'all. Into the thick of it. Okay? Because what I'm seeing playing out in Wicked, I'm seeing playing out with the Wizard of Oz, halting, altering, shutting down the intuition of the animals. Why? Because the animals can tell friend from foe. If you have a cyborg walking down a street and an animal doesn't have a chip and is very heightened in awareness in its nature, how they're going to tell that that's not a human. They're going to bark the heck out of that person that's not real. We got cyborgs they're trying to put out here, and the animals are messing with them. The animals can tell you that we do not need to talk to those people because they're not real. Okay? Wizard of Oz. And in this storyline, there was another woman who had power. That's why I related this to in Lovecraft. The two most powerful beings in those shows was an Asiatic and a brown person. The two that they don't like to mix, if you notice. Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. Thank you. Okay. Oh, wait. I wanted to give you a heart. Thank you. Okay. Let's travel the galaxies together. That's so sweet. Okay, so in Lovecraft, if you remember the last scene in Lovecraft, it was the Asian woman who had the most power, but she was using the power to work in alignment with, just like in Wicked, with the wizard. Who was working with the Wizard of Oz? It was the Asiatic woman. She was working in sync with him. She was actually his cohort, working against Elphaba. She hated the fact that she couldn't use Elphaba, so she wanted to destroy her. And she was using the friendship and the closeness between Glinda and Elphaba to work that charm, to work what she had. She actually had magic, though. She was able to create the weather. She had natural magic. Why does that matter? Because she has melanin. She has melanin. Okay? And Elphaba has the most powerful is the one that's vilified. Now you say to yourself, what does it matter? What does this have to do with? I use that because the two strong and powerful races were the Asiatics and the melanated. It was in the Wicked, and the Daros and Glinda did not have any magic. All their magic was artificial. It was fake. It was falsetto. It was an illusion. So they were basically faking the funk and made everyone think they were magical, right? Got a fake bubble. She didn't even have a real bubble of her own. At least the one in the real Wizard of Oz had a real bubble. This one had a fake one. She had one made by them, an artificial one, to make her look magical, so people would entrust in her. They would enamor her. They would make her feel like she's really special, and she's really a fake. It's kind of like the $5 Indians on the reservations who sold out their kin and were placed there to keep it as a placeholder so the government could go take that land when they're ready for it. I'm digressing. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. Let me stay focused. Okay? So, we have I just use it because I want to talk about the two strongest bloodlines, and really in itself, it is the two groups. But when we talk about the Ethujeans and I talk about the Nigerians, you know the Nigerians look Asiatic brown. You know that all the natives living in the Americas were Asiatic brown people. You know that in ancient Japan and China, those were Asiatic brown people. You know when you go to the Mayan temples, those look like Asiatic brown people. So do you not see that there's some reason why that combination isn't the combination they ever push for on social media? They don't ever push for Asians and brown people to mix and make babies, even though they make some amazing looking, beautiful children, harmonic looking children. Actually, out of all the mixing on the planet, you know, there's different harmonizing. There's beautiful babies of all different genres, but I think as far as harmonizing features they blend well together. Okay? So when we talk about Lovecraft and this, we got two bloodlines, one working against the other, but they're powerful. And you know, in the Asian bloodline, we have the Dragon Society. You know, it's the oldest. That's why Asian medicine, especially Chinese medicine, goes really far back along with Uvertic, but they have very powerful, long-standing, naturopathic ways. And also, they do have a lot of supernatural abilities. Like if you ever watch, I don't know, some of you of a certain age, some of the men, I used to watch it with my big brother. We used to watch Kung Fu and what's his name? Oh my God, Kim. Oh God, what is his name? Lee, something Lee. Bruce Lee. Not Bruce Leroy. Some of you know Bruce Leroy from the hood. Bruce Lee. We used to watch Bruce Lee, and do you remember? I want you to remember, because it's very important what I'm going to share with you, that the two strongest of these so-called races, and I don't believe in races. I'm talking about, because you could be Asian and not be powerful. You could be brown and not be powerful. I'm talking about two different races that just happen to hold those phenotypes. Okay? Do you remember when you used to watch Bruce Lee? I don't know. Back in the days, I loved it. I was sitting with my brother. Do you remember that they used to fly? Do you remember when they fight each other? They would fight each other like a lot of those Bruce Lee, all those kung fu movies we used to watch. When they were fighting, they would do like kung fu in the sky. Like when they fight, they would jump on trees and do all that stuff. Remember that? Because they come from that. These are powerful people. They actually have these ancient abilities that some of them still utilize today. The flying monks, you ever heard of the flying monks? Right? When they walk, they kind of bounce and elevate off the floor. Okay? This group that is in this movie, that's why I think the woman in the movie is very reminiscent of the same Asiatic woman that was in Lovecraft. Remember, she had the whole Leviathan coming out of her mouth on the end? Woo! You got to watch Lovecraft, y'all. You watch Lovecraft, it's off the chain. Okay? She had the whole Leviathan coming out of her mouth. Did you see the Leviathan in the sky the other day? Anybody see him? And they were saying, "Oh my God, that just looks like an octopus." No, it's in the sky. The Cthulhu is in the sky. Anyway, I'm digressing. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that up. But when I talk about the separation, I want to speak about the separation as far as the firmament. Now, in the movie Wicked, do you remember in the movie Wicked for Good, this new movie, they built the gold? It's crazy, y'all. They tell you everything. They built the yellow brick road. Right? Ease on down the road. Ease on down the road. If you carry nothing, not gonna be a load. Once you ease on down the road. Right? Okay, so they were building the yellow brick road. Remember, the Wiz is a placater. He is the Daros. He is the one who controls social media. He controls the banks. He controls everything that you see outward. That's all an illusion. He has no power. His only power is convincing you that he's powerful. He is fake. And he only has power because as long as people believe him, they will be his flying monkeys. Remember we talk about narcissism? What do they call the people who support narcissistic people? They call them flying monkeys. Right? I say, "Oh Lord, that narcissist has their flying monkeys." People who work on their behalf, they have so much faith in that person. They have so much ownership in that person that they will, even if they're relegated to do bad things on behalf of that person's agenda, they will do it. Okay? So in this, they were building the yellow brick road. and wicked for good. All roads led to the Emerald City. Now, we could take this statement, we can kind of flip it and say, when people say all the time, all roads lead to Rome. And big up to the Sun Star, who actually went over to Rome and noticed that the Colosseum in Rome looks just like the Colosseum over in Washington, D.C. Remember I told you that the Africa or the Egypt that they talk about wasn't in Africa. It was actually in the United States. It was in the northern hemisphere. It was actually in Washington, where Washington, D.C. is. That is a Tatarian building. The Tatarians lived here. They built those, okay? Why do you have that in the United States? Because also everything leads to Rome. Why did they build the same thing? They said they built it in what, 1913 or something? What did they say they built in like 1930? How could you build that in 1913? And it looks just like something that was built ancient, but you didn't have the utensils and tools and even the knowledge. You didn't even have the skill set to build that with that kind of mastery and perfection. Okay? Okay, so we have the Yellow Brick Road. Now, remember I told you when I was pregnant, right? I woke up one day and it was crazy because I wasn't feeling well and I felt dizzy for a couple of days. Sometimes you get pregnant, you get like that. But I remember opening up my eyes. The Zoomies know this because they heard this when I was talking about it at the time. I opened my eyes one day and I saw like what looked like, a honeycomb, a bee's hive, the honeycombs. I could see that all over the walls. And you think to yourself, because again, I didn't say I'm sane, but I did have some logic and reason saying, okay, is it because maybe my eyesight is off? Maybe something's going on with me. You're pregnant. It could be hormonal. It could be, anything. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, that's one time. And then I started to see it, especially if I'm in the shower. I started to see the little cells, the little honeycombs around the wall, and they were yellow, golden looking. Golden, like the Yellow Brick Road. Because then later on, as I kept seeing it, I was like, oh my God, this is the holographic perimeters. It's showing up almost like a grid, a golden grid. But if you didn't know better, if I'm just messing around with syntax or just verbally switching things, it is a golden brick road. It is literally the constructs of the matrix. It surrounds us. If you look, now it's under, I spoke to a gentleman who's also, I spoke to him last week, and he's a astrophysicist, really smart guy, really smart. He illuminated me things. I love, like, how Rod is smart? Like, I love smart men. Smart men are like, that's awesome, because a lot of men may not have that. So it's beautiful when you see this. So anyway, he said that when someone was doing DMT, so remember, I'm doing this naturally, and I'm doing it naturally. And this is why, it's because I have copper skin, which is a conduit. Copper is a conduit. I think that's why I have certain levels of amplification, because colors matter. Don't listen to the ones who say they don't see color. I actually think they may not see color. I actually think that people who say it may not even see color. Because I didn't know people dreamt in black and white. That's a sidebar, but I actually realized that people who say they don't see color, it's literally they can be seen in black and white. Remember in the first Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy came out, it was in black and white, and then when she went to Oz, she was in color because she was updated. She's updated. Okay? If you don't see color, you're from another dimension. You're from that Dorothy, the first section of Dorothy, you're from the first section of the Wizard of Oz, when she was in black and white, and when she got upgraded and she went to another dimension, she went to 5D plus, she saw color. Okay? Don't tell me that garbage. If you come in here with that, you're under mind control. If you don't see color, I don't know how you match in your clothes and your shoes. Okay? Copper is an amplifier. So I think because I have copper skin, it may be an amplification of things. Okay? It makes sense. That's why a lot of your gurus and people who are shamans and so on have copper skin. There could be some relevancy to that because it's an alchemical component that may amplify the way that energy deals with you, how light frequency may emit out of you or collect in you and emit out. Okay? So I saw yellow, like a yellow grid around. and I still see it. But the astrophysicist that I spoke to, he said that it was a gentleman doing DMT that he knew, and he saw the yellow grid. I was like, holy crap. So he had to get high, right? But he saw it. So obviously I started to see it when I was pregnant, but I could see it ever since. But he saw it. And he also saw literally binary codes of numbers in red in certain parts of the grid. So it wasn't all parts. Like, he was on DMT, he saw like the grid, and in certain parts of the grid, there was a binary code that would flash in and out. And they actually worked with people, you know, I guess a group of people thought to, you know, come together and do it and then try to find these spots. You know that the Dark Cabal are doing this. You know, it's just we're falling upon it. They don't share this with us. We gotta fall upon it ourselves. We just fall upon it. You know what I mean? So it's like red Sanskrit going down. It's like this, and it has numbers. It's not all O's and ones. What he said. I gotta ask. Remind me to ask him again what numbers. It was different numbers, but they literally flash in and out. I don't know if they were doing a calculation. I actually think it could be the calculation in the matrix, the simulation. Maybe it's the script of the simulation. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like the programming. It could be that's the programming of the simulation that they saw, because it's a grid. Now, okay, let me go back because I know I'm going all over the place, okay? I was talking about the yellow brick road. I actually know now that the yellow brick road is the construct of the matrix. It is the encapsulation. We're inside of some electromagnetic grid that creates the reality that we're coexisting with. That's what we're in. That's what the yellow brick road represents, y'all. Okay, and they told her she has to, when Dorothy came in, right? They told her when she came in, she had to go to see the wizard. Now, we know the wizard was fake as freak. We know he's a faker. We knew he's a placater, right? But she didn't know that, right? What was the first thing he told her to do? Go kill the Wicked Witch of the West. It's interesting. He wanted her to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. And now I'm thinking the whole time, y'all, I actually think that brown, melanated Negroes were always from the West. I don't think that was a lie. I think they were from the West. And I think she was telling her to go and kill that wicked green monster from the West, which was Alphaba, which literally found out that Alphaba was sweet and kind and wanted people to know the truth. So she was always trying to show it, and they would always twist her words. They would always make her look bad socially. They put posters all around that she was scary, so people were afraid of her. They demonized her. Who are the most demonized people? Now the Darrells will tell you they're demonized, right? The Darrells will say, oh, we're demonized, we're victimized, we had a Holocaust, it was terrible, it was awful, we're the most demonized. If you were the most demonized, you could not own all networks on television. You couldn't own the ability to shapeshift people's language and how they feel or center them. If you were the most victimized people, you would not hold the majority, 40% of the wealth, but you're less than 0.0001 of the people. Who are you gaslighting? If you are a targeted individual, they ain't gonna let you have a job. They're gonna make you seem like you're twerking. They're gonna tell everybody you're ghetto. They're gonna make you look like you're a robber, thief, a rapist anytime they can on television. They're gonna show everybody that you're impoverished. They're gonna show flies all over your children, making it seem like Africa's poor, but yet you go in there and steal all the resources. You're gonna vilify. That's the most vilified people. While they're showing you images of Gaza and telling you that they're being horrifically genocided, how come they're not showing you images of the Sudanese or the Congolese that are being killed and Somalis that are being killed as we speak? That sounds like the targeted people, the people that they don't want you to feel bad for, the people they don't want you to pay attention to. They want you to show all of the people and say that they're victims. And I'm not saying that they aren't over there, but it's interesting that they'll put the spotlight on one and make them seem like they're the ultimate victim, but the other ones who are actually being victimized, they hide that. They hide their hands, like the Wiz. Like the Wiz, hiding the fact that he had all the animals in cages and we're keeping them encapsulated and under a form of sorcery, so they couldn't communicate. So they no longer had an ability to be true to themselves. Okay, so let's go into the fact that all roads the brick roads were built, and they were being built, and Elphaba's trying to stop them from building these roads, right? She's trying to help the animals that are enslaved, but they keep building. All roads led to the Emerald City. But when the animals got frustrated, they felt like they didn't have a voice and they didn't want to be demonized and vilified and persecuted. They broke through where the broken yellow brick road, they broke through to a world beyond Oz. They were having an exodus through the broken road that led out of Oz. Okay? Now, at the same time, I don't want to take too much time. Am I cooking too much? Am I making you bored? I'm sorry. At the same time, they not only show you wicked for good, they bring out Stranger Things. Stranger Things has two worlds, one above and one below. The assumption is that they're all living in the above world, which is supposed to be the righteous world, the world where it's good, where it's wonderful, right? The awful world with Vector, what is his name? Vector? The weird mind monster. Y'all, remember, the Wiz shows up in different shows in different ways, right? They call him a different name, but he's still the Wiz, right? He's the Wiz and he lives in Oz. He's a wizard, right? Vecna. Okay, Vecna, right? Vecna, what does he do? He has the ability to get into your mind, shapeshift into an illusional person so that you won't be afraid of them, so he can gaslight you, he can traffic your children, right? And he's able to get into the mind. He has that ability, what is it called? Like the hive mind, right? He's a mind vampire. Sounds a little like the wizard, right? But this one is from the underworld. Vecna is a being from the underworld, and he controls that realm, right? Okay? I think when we talk about breaking out, and again, what is interesting also, just a sidebar, I don't know if you saw the Poltergeist. I'm using all these terms. If you've not seen these movies, it's not going to make sense to you, but I'm just getting visions. Like, I don't know if you remember when Carrie Ann from Poltergeist, when she went into the closet and her mother went after her. Does anybody remember that? When Carol Ann was talking, remember, they took her through the television, which is another dimension. The entities took her through the television, right? And the mother was talking to her interdimensionally through the house. Carol Ann was still in the house. She could hear her, right? They used the television as like a medium, right, as a transmitter. But they could hear her in the house. But she was in another world. She was in that underworld, like in Stranger Things, right? Because if we really knew Stranger Things then, we would say she's probably in the Stranger Things world, right? Because in Stranger Things, as above, so below. All of the things above were the same below. If we go to another movie, Us, right? Us. For every single person that was above in the overworld, there was a replicant of them on the underworld. Okay? But they coexisted side by side. Sometimes you got flipped. Like in Us, one of the girls got flipped. She went to the amusement park, right? The fun house. The other little girl snatched her, brought her back to the underworld while she went and replaced her in the overworld, and they couldn't understand why she couldn't talk anymore, right? She didn't have a voice, similar to that of the animals. That voice was taken away from them. How come those beings in the underworld and Us couldn't speak? How come they were doing everything that everybody did on the top of the surface? They were doing the same on the below. Why are all the houses in Stranger Things, all the houses that are in the underworld, how come they have the same houses on the overworld? But in the Poltergeist, what I was saying in the Poltergeist, when Carol Ann went inside of the closet and her mother went to get her, when they got out of the other dimension, they had to go through the plasma. When you look at the world that separates the Stranger Things, did you see that plasma wall? Just like in Carol and her mother fell through the ceiling. They came through that plasma, which is like weird gelatinous, looks like goo. Just like in Ghostbusters, it's kind of like a goo, like a gelatinous goo. They fell through and it was cold, right? They should petrified coming through that plasma. Plasma in, plasma out. Vecna, where he comes from, they have a plasma. It's a weird kind of rooted thing. It looks like almost like weird kind of vines, but they look like fleshy. That's the plasma. That's the separation. Where in Wicked for Good, it was where the road was broken. The brokenness allowed them to enter into the world beyond Oz. Plasma in, plasma out. You know how to say blood in, blood out, plasma in, plasma out. You come through the womb. The only people who don't come through the womb are clones or Cabbage Patch. The Cabbage Patch are on birth tier. They're grown. Test tube babies. Incubator children created without a womb. They aren't coming. They aren't allowed to leave. The Vecnas can't go anywhere because that's the only world they know. That's the fabricated world. It's an artificial world. The whole world is fake because it's in the hologram. They're like some sort of like bug in a system that is thinking that it's real and has created a reality that makes it real and gives it some sort of validity and paralysis in there. It only has that power to be in that realm, but it has to pull everybody into its realm to even hold that power over you. So why I brought it up, and I'm going to kind of fast forward because I gotta get off of here. I gotta leave in a minute. The split is happening, y'all. It's happening now as we speak. The song, I would suggest you listen to the song. It talks about there's a crack in the world. There's a crack in the world, right? There is a separation that's about to happen. The separation has to happen in order to allow for exodus outside the firmament. It's not going to be only the ones who separate. It's the way of triangulating you. Like, you know, if you watch Star Trek and you see when Captain, like, you know, when Spock is calling Captain Kirk, we can't find you, Captain. You're in like a location. It's too many different, you know, we're seeing so much disturbance. What do they have to do to the captain? The captain has to find a place where it's kind of like where there's more open space and he's able to be triangulated and he's able to be removed or, you know, beamed up to the ship. It's hard for him to be beamed up if he's around all these different energies. He's running around all this kind of chaotic energy. He has to be triangulated, but he has to go somewhere where he can be separated. Okay? It's the same thing as the phone in the Matrix. Every time they had to leave the Matrix, they had to answer the phone in the phone booth. They had to be triangulated. They had to connect, they had to get a connection, and they had to do it one by one. If you're dirty in a pond full of soot and sawdust, with a bunch of beings that are dense, highly materialistic, Vecna's people that are taken over by the mind disease, the mind fog, right? They can't release you. They can't take you out. So in order for them to be able to pull you out or you pull yourself out, you got to be separated from the density, from the denseness. You have to be disconnected from the Babette, what's going on? Babette. You have to be separated. So it's like separating the yolk from the white. Hold on, y'all. Okay. And it's happening now. So that's why they're dirtying everybody. So it's a clear separation. And that's why if it is where you want to be separated so that you do have the opportunity to be rapture, and that could be what the rapture was. Like now that I'm thinking about it, this whole concept of rapture might have not been a lie. It just might have been a different kind of story when it comes to how they separate you, right? So right now at this time until the 21st around the winter solstice, and it makes sense that around winter solstice is what happened. But you know, the very people who have the ability to clean themselves, and they made sure that they did it for 8 days so that when this time would come of separation, they would be first in line if they had the ability to leave or be separated into the new earth or the other earth. Those people, the Daros, who start on the 14th, and they practice 8 days of these principal things they do, and it's non-materialistic. They make things for family, they sit in family, they reflect. It's interesting that they have a very religion and a ritual that was created for this specific time. Could it be by chance? I don't know. So my group and myself, if you want to join us, we're starting on the 14th. We are preparing for the shift. We'll know what it is when we see it. Okay. So we are preparing. So the 14th, we were going to start our fast. We're going to start the fast. We're going to support each other. There'll be a 24-hour Zoom starting from the 14th until the 22nd. Don't ask me how I do this. We're forever zombies. That's what we call zombies, not zombies, zombies. Okay. So we'll be doing that. We'll be lighting a candle to build the energy of that. We're going to be in the energy. We're going to be fasting from social media, doing diabolical things, watching things that are harmful. We will be speaking life and goodness into everyone. We will be working on ourselves, clearing ourselves. We're going to be enjoying the moment, and we are going to be in the energy, because if this separation is happening as predicted, as it looks like it's being forecasted, we would want to be on the lighter side so that when the separation happens, anything heavy and dense, you ever see something that's heavy in the water, it just sinks to the bottom. Anything heavy and dense is going to go with the other earth, and those who are going to be pulled onto the other earth will have the opportunity to be, this is what I think, is to be triangulated and taken off earth, or to wake up out of the simulation. It's my theory. We won't know until it happens. But around this time, and you see it building. You see Willy Wonka's getting ready to call World War III. They already started it. If you thought they were doing it, they've already started it. They're already kicking off World War III. They're doing a lot of diabolical things. They're preparing for this separation. They're going to try to ruin your mind. So during this time, I wouldn't be shocked if there was a huge false flag during this 8 days, starting the 14th. I wouldn't be shocked that during this time, there is something that kicks off that causes people to feel helpless, angry, resentful, materialistic, whatever it is. I think it just feels like it's like a spidey sense. I feel like this may be, but if you're sitting in the energy of abundance and love and giving and staying out of materialistic, not giving for materialism, but making something for someone, like, donating something to someone, and fasting from the world of social media that darkens your field and lowers your frequency. So y'all, I think I talked enough. I had so much more to say, but I hope this was a decent video. I try to stay on track. I built from so many things. There's so many things in my mind. I hope I translated that well. Do your due diligence and go research everything I talk about, and, find things for yourself. But I hope this was helpful. We will be starting our fast on the 14th. Zoom will be on 24 hours for 8 days, so we can support each other through this movement and be in the lighter energy. So you're more than able to join us on Zoom Sunday through the 8 days if you join us, okay? So thank you for everyone. I hope I made the video okay. I should be on again. I kind of want to talk about Musty Dusty and the cloned, orange gummy, but I have to do that. I have to speak well and speak great things until after that. So, okay, so I will catch up with you guys, and I'll see you guys Sunday on Zoom, okay? Peace.